This is Cruiser's Mission Range Racing Academy. We're going to talk about the P320 XCarry against that Glock19 Gen 5. So we're going to talk about the differences and similarities between both these firearms with the controls, the functions, also the ergonomics of both these firearms, and then we're going to put the accuracy to the test. All right, so here we have that Glock19 and that Sig P320. So the first thing I want to talk about is going to be those mags. So for that Glock19, we do have a 15 round mag. It is polymer, and that Sig P320, it does come with the metal mag, which I prefer a lot more whenever it comes to aftermarket magazines, but 15 rounds as well. But when it comes to your grip angles, we're gonna start with the Glock19. So with that Glock19, it doesn't have as much texture as that P320 does, but it's still pretty ergonomic. Do have plenty of purchase on that grip, so that pinky is still pretty flush with that magazine well there. Whenever it comes to your dovetail, it's not as aggressive as that P320, but it still gives you a high firm pistol grip there, so that way you can still manage most of that recoil. For controls, it is ambidextrous, so you have your slide lock on both sides here, so you can manipulate it from your left and your right side. Whenever it comes to your magazine release, you can swap it over as well, so that way if you are left-handed, you can swap that over. You do have that trigger safety as well on that Glock19, so that way whenever it comes to your firing, all you have to do is just disengage that little safety there, that little blade. You don't have to worry about any other manual safeties. And then for the slide, you do have those front serrations as well, so that way you can manipulate that side pretty easy from the front or the back. And then we're gonna move over to that Sig P320. So a little bit more texture on that grip. It's kind of the same thing for that purchase. I was talking about that dovetail there. It is a little bit more aggressive, so that way you can see the web of your hand, slides a little bit easier on that frame there. Same thing for the controls. It is ambidextrous. You can manipulate it from either side there. And then same thing, front serrations, so you can manipulate your slide from the front or the back. Now for the sights, I do want to talk about, you have your metal sights on that P320, and then we have those plastic sights on that Glock19. I'm more of a metal sights kind of guy, a little bit more durable, so that way you get a little bit more accurate and precise grouping whenever it comes to your accuracy. But virtually they're about the same size. The grips, they have about the same length as well as that slide. But now we can go into that trigger pull. So one other thing that I like to test out with my firearms is the trigger weight. So we're gonna test out that poundage on the trigger on each one of these firearms. We're gonna start with the Glock19 first. Okay, so on that one, we got about 6.5. Let's try it again. And that one is a little bit more flushed with 6. Do it one more time. And yeah, third time, almost flush with 6. Now let's try that Sig P320. All right, yeah, so almost flush with 6 on that one. Try it again. Okay, yeah, so almost at 6 on that one as well. Yeah, so about same trigger weight. So whenever it comes to the trigger weight on the Glock19 and 320, they boast around 6 pounds of trigger pull. But whenever it comes to that distance, that travel time on the trigger, that Glock19 is going to be a little bit more crisp for that pop. Also on that reset, it comes back a little bit quicker. With that 320, you have a little bit more slack on there before that pop. And on that reset, maybe a hair or two, a little bit longer, but they're both pretty set on those 6 pounds, so you can still get your follow-up shots pretty accurately and around that same time as well. So now we're going to try out both these firearms, put them to the accuracy test to see which one I can group better with. So first we're going to start with that Sig P320. right, now I'm gonna do that Glock 19. All right, so with that Sig P320, it did have a little bit more consistency. Had a couple flyers a little bit high and right there. That might just been a grip issue. For that Glock 19, a little bit more centered. With the smaller frame, it is kind of harder to keep that purchase on that frame, but they both shoot pretty well. But with my opinion, I'd go with the Glock 19 or the Sig P320. The sights, the P320, they are a little bit higher on there, so I feel like on my grouping, it was showing up a little bit high. With the Glock 19 sights, with that horseshoe in the back, it is a little bit more busy, so you're just kind of covering your entire target. It was a little deceiving at first because you want to be able to see the target that you're shooting at, but you just got to trust your sights and take that sight out of the trigger and pull nice and slow, and you can hit nice accurate shots. Again, this is Cruz with Mission Ridge Range and Academy. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave some comments below. We'll see you at the range.